the vehicle.
This is Reality with Partiality. And this morning in studio is my friend, Mr. Richard Webster Sr. How are you, Rich?
My brother. Thank you.
He is here to tell us about his journey, past, present, and future, in becoming the best version of himself. For those who would like to know the difference between a journey and flashing your CV credential, a journey establishes the going from point A to B to C and explains the why. There's a point, the point to stopping at B and then going to C. So I've had the good fortune of being classmates with Richie's parents, Eddie and Antoinette, from primary and through high school. And in addition, I met his sister, fortunately for me, when I was teaching at SJC JC. So it appears, you know, that Rich is one of those who were born. We're going on our 45th year of independence come September. So it appears to me he was born after independence. And so is this generation of young adults. And it's their time has come. As his parents and I are heading towards retirement. After Rich tells us about his journey, he may delve into talking a little bit about Dangriga UDP politics. The UDP Dangriga branch will be holding a municipal convention come Sunday. On that note, Honorable Tracy Tega Pantan, she became the UDP party leader mid-March of last year. And on October 9, Mr. Ert Lopez became the caretaker for UDP Dangriga. As me, I continue to associate with all the political parties, including the third parties. However, I no longer identify with any. The last time I did was to help remove Shine Barrow from the UDP headquarters. As I declared on several occasions and hereby reiterate, I no longer identify, but I associate, and without getting entangled, associate with all. Unlike mercenaries, I work in the open. I'm a man of integrity with nothing to hide. Loyalty comes from a place of emotion, so I am not obliged to be loyal to anyone. Now, when it comes to the integrity, but when it comes to the integrity of our brand on the show, in our library, and when it comes to setting up our wellness center, we always maintain integrity with our brand. And signature to our brand is that we neither discriminate nor draw conclusions about anyone. For as long as a person lives, there's the awesome possibility that she will become the very best version of himself. So, Rich,
Tell me.
grab the microphone, my brother, and start by telling us about your journey, your early childhood, and the environment in which you grew up, and go from there.
Yeah. I want to say pleasant good morning to each and everybody. Thanks, Mr. Percy, for hosting me. I've not been on much platform, and I have found a little time for a little peace. So I'm trying to stay away from the public light at this point in time. But again, I want to say thanks. Good morning, Dangriga, and my community. Good morning, Belize. My name is Richard Webster, Sr. I was born to Eddie and Antoinette Webster. Um, my we have, or my family have siblings of three, which I have two brothers, two younger brother, and a sister. Um, my younger sister, Eileen. I want to say a pleasant good morning to her. I also want to say a pleasant good morning to my two brothers, Ashton and Eton. Um, but that is basically my family structure. Of course, I have aunts and uncles, and I want to extend my good morning to them as well. And but last but not least, I want to say a pleasant good morning to my mother and my father, Antoinette and Eddie Webster. So,
Yes.
Richard Webster, 43 years old. I was born in Dangriga, 1983, 82 actually,
Yes.
1982, um, 4th of November. I was born in Dangriga. I was raised by both parents. I lived with my grandmother for a period of time, and then I had to move to Belize City with my mother and my father because my father was always that strong man about family and what family must be like. So we moved to Belize City for a little time, and then I moved back to Dangriga, and we have lived as a child, we lived in Dangriga um, for the rest of that duration. So I went to Sacred Art School, primary school. From there, I left off and I went to ecumenical. I didn't complete at ecumenical. I had to finish out my year at uh, Anri, but I didn't like it there for a time, so I decided to move over and finish off at Delil, which I completed my second form. And then I basically was, I felt as if though that I would have been a man at that point where I could have done, and this is something that happened literally, where I thought that at that age, I believed that I could have taken care of myself based on the profession that I had. My dad had already taught me how to drive. I had known electrical already, so I could have done a lot for myself. And I thought that that is all I needed to carry on through life in itself. At
Okay.
the age of 18, I joined the Belize Defense Force. I came out at 21, so I did 3 years in the service. At
Mm-hmm.
21, I then decided to continue on with my education. I went to CCC, so I graduated from there in 2024. I
What's that?
think it was
Toledo?
Toledo, yes. So it's
Okay.
Clever College Extension. So I
Mm-hmm.
graduated in 2024 at Clever College. And then, well, from there, I had always been running my own electrical business. So it has always been that. So that was it for me for childhood. And then, well, I moved on into
But
my,
you found that your passion,
yes,
being an electrical engineer.
correct, being an
Okay.
electrical technician.
Okay.
So
Mm-hmm.
I did electrical and refrigeration
Mm-hmm.
at the starting, which I'm still at this time. And so at
Mm-hmm.
that time we didn't have much licensing at that time. So it was just a matter of attending all of necessary uh the necessary uh what do you call it, we just attended the necessary workshops, and then we would get certificate based on that, and that is what I did um more of the latter 10 years in terms of not getting a license. And so that was it basically for my
Mm-hmm.
childhood and how I got here. And so now I decided, well, let me get into business. So I then, like I said, pursued opening an electrical company. And so I took over the very same thing that my dad did, except that my
Mm-hmm.
dad only concentrated in electrical alone. So I decided that I wanted to do refrigeration, which brings an
Okay.
add-on to making money across the board. So you just don't only get the electrical part of the job, you can also
Mm-hmm.
do the refrigeration as well. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's basically it. And from then I always enjoyed the side hustle where I, after migrating from Dangriga to Punta Gorda in order to get my education,
Mm-hmm.
I then moved over to CNBite, which I did about 5 years there, doing electrical and refrigeration as well. So people in
Mm-hmm.
that neck of the woods um, knows me very well, the upstanding businessman that can get
Mm-hmm.
their electrical work done in terms of
Mm-hmm.
what needs to be done for them electrically. And like I said, the side hustle for me was things like fishing. So I learned how to drive a boat. I had a
Mm-hmm.
contract with government where we ferried children from CNBike to Malacate. Those were things that I did as side hustle. So, as a businessman, I always look at the opportunity that presents itself based
Mm-hmm.
on not only just being the person that does electrical, but also
Okay.
that there are other things that you can invest in to get
Mm-hmm.
some kind of side hustle in terms of life in itself. No? So
Yes.
that's basically about it. And then I moved back
Well,
to them.
well, somewhere in there, you started a family, right? Of your
Yes,
own.
of course.
Okay.
In 20, I did start my family. I have my family now, so that is something that I've always um,
Mm-hmm.
maintained. That family is important. So I have my children,
Mm-hmm.
and communication with them is always first and foremost.
Yes. Well, that's you've been, you've had a well, you've explained it all.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting
Just
journey.
just to point out also
Mm-hmm.
though that in 2012, while I
Mm-hmm.
was going through all of this in 2012, I decided
Mm-hmm.
um that I wanted to look after an additional education, um and during that period I think that was more my real seasoned year, where I decided that in order for me to make it a little bit more comfortable for my own personal life, I had to get that associate degree. And so between 2012 to 2015 was when between 2012 to 2015 was when I went to UB and I got my associate degree in mechanical and electrical engineering. So that's a
Okay.
degree that I hold along with my two electrical technician license, along with as well as my refrigeration technician license. So
Mm-hmm.
those are the things that for me makes the foundation in terms of family structure, additional to the family structure, additional to the businessman, that educational aspect, I think that is what turned my entire life around. Because whatever I accomplished between the age of 15 to 25, going
Mm-hmm.
back to sixth form at the age of 30 and completing by 33, I have
Mm.
accomplished a lot more in that space of 10 years, which I'm now coming on 43.
Yes. Yeah, but two things. I think I saw you on air doing farming.
Yes, yes, of course, of course, of course. So
Yeah.
again, that is one of the business hustle. It's a side thing. It's not my main thing, but it is something that we can invest in and try to see how much
Okay.
we can benefit out of it down the road. So
Okay.
as a side hustle, rather than dealing with the boat and going to sea, I can
Mm-hmm.
now venture into farm where we are planting some coconuts,
Okay.
papaya, lime, and soursop. Those are the things
I
that
see. I
we
see.
are planting, and we are hoping that in the next 5 years we can then
Mm-hmm.
reap the benefits from that, based on either selling it the product to people, or we can then process it ourselves and then becomes the
Mm-hmm.
person that sells.
Now, part B. You delve into politics. Yes?
Yeah, in 2018, I
Mm-hmm.
thought to myself that what all I have accomplished in 3 years from 2015 to 2018, I
Mm-hmm.
decided, you know, something, politics might be the way, because I believe that a lot of people turn themselves away from education based on
Mm-hmm.
whatever. I mean, it can be the fact that a family member
Mm-hmm.
doesn't encourage them. It can be their own peers does not encourage them to
Mm-hmm.
become educated. But a lot of our people um, don't focus on education on a whole. And so I believe, and I set this tone where I am the slowest man in the world. And if I am the slowest man in the world and I can get an associate degree, then anybody could get an associate degree. And so in 2018, I said, well, you know something? Maybe the better way we can help our people is to get into politics and helping them politically, education, assistance,
Mm-hmm.
teach them how to take care of their land, and that kind
Mm-hmm.
of thing was my thought process of doing so. Now, you know that politics has a slippery slope. The slippery slope is the corruption. The slippery slope is mainly the corruption. And I can assure you that when I went to speak to the very people who I believe could have assisted me in terms of making sure that I can secure a victory, one of the statement that was made was very, I want to say it was very challenging. They said, you have to get your hand dirty. And I said, there is no point in getting my hands dirty. The law is the law. Let's follow the law. Let's do what our people want, and everything is going to be fine. Well, unfortunately, that is not the case. So you have to get your hand dirty. Not something that I am proud to say, but it's not something that I want to follow, because I believe that after gone through the first convention, recognizing that our people want something different from what I want to offer to them. And I think that that is where the crook lies. It lies where I am presenting myself to offer this to you. And I believe that their interpretation of what I want to offer is not what they want. And in terms of integrity and so forth, some of the things that I can't stand for it. So I will be always left on the sideline rather than have to be playing that political game where your hand get caught in the cookie jar is not a thing that I want to do or I will do.
So ran, you competed when and for what in
Come
politics?
again?
You competed when and for what in politics?
So I competed for the standard bearer. In the initial beginning, I wanted to do the mayorship because I thought that the mayorship would have been the go-to thing. That was the available space at the time that I made the
Mm-hmm.
decision. And so while I was looking forward, I realized that we have a deeper issue. And the deeper issue, in my opinion, was the fact that we have no structure. And so, in order for us to get structure, then you need someone at the helm that can actually design the structure and
Mm-hmm.
ensure that the structures are functioning. And so then I decided, here what? There is no available space for the caretaker. At that time, it was the standard bearer in 2023. And so I got into um, the standard bearer convention, and I lost to Norman Osher by I think it was 190 something votes. And then I then decided that I was going to challenge the very next convention, which was the caretaker convention. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, I'm always the kind of person who have conversation with all the parties, except that after having conversation with them, um, I guess they have their own decisions, and I then subsequently lost that convention as well. I think the number went down to about 100 and something votes. I lost that one by, and so that is basically where I left it. And so it is now trying to see the direction of the party, or to understand better where do we want to take our people, because that is where I believe that the real issue lies. The next
So
convention is coming up.
by party, you're referring to the UDP.
Yes, precisely.
The UDP. Um, mm, who are having a convention, municipal convention there this Sunday, right?
This Sunday. Yes, that's correct.
Are you uh are you aware? Are you cognizant of the goings on the ground? Because there probably is campaigning on the ground for the UDP, you know, to represent the UDP in the convention, in the municipal. So, are you aware of how that's going, or you're not?
Yeah, yes, fully. I'm up to par. I
Mm-hmm.
haven't really signed on or side on with any of the teams, because I believe that as a leader, my
Mm-hmm.
responsibility is not to show bias to the other party that I am not supporting. And the reasons are very simple. You don't want that if the other party wins, you can work with them when they win. And so that's where I draw the line, so
Well,
that
remember. Uh, by party, you mean
the
internally,
UDP, yes,
within
yes,
the UDP,
internally, yes, internally,
and internally, from what I saw, it's not going to be decided by ticket. They put the name in alphabetical order, all the runners for the
yes,
councillor seats. So
yes,
it's not really by ticket then, according to how
yes,
it's going to go on Sunday. You choose it, the six councillors want to
and
be,
1 minute, yeah,
and then you choose a mayor want to be.
yes,
Okay, so
yeah.
okay. Anything else on the
Well,
because the UDP is in Dangriga, is it in combat shape for the municipal, in your opinion?
in my opinion, no.
Or is getting there? Uh-huh.
I
What
think we
is
have a
your
lot of internal. I think we have a lot of internal work to do. I
okay?
feel that as if though if all goes well after this convention, and people
Mm-hmm.
will begin to settle down in terms of the direction of the party in itself, I
Mm-hmm.
believe that we will be ready for the next upcoming election.
Okay.
I think that is what needs to happen. If that doesn't happen and we continue to go at war for whatever purposes, because
Mm-hmm.
that's the issue. The issue is that we're tension up, and one of the things that happens during a convention is
Mm-hmm.
when people go to a convention, you
Mm-hmm.
need time for people to heal. And if you
Okay.
don't give them that time to heal, then you might find yourself in another space. And so you want the best for the community. And that is where my issue lies. It's always trying to ensure that you can do the best for the community rather than the best for an individual.
Well, I saw Perifit on Wave just before you came on air. So you're talking healing on all levels within the UDP.
Yes, it has to be, because it can't be. This is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that across the country, there are
Mm-hmm.
what, 9 municipalities.
Mm-hmm.
In order for the party to show strength, the party has to ensure that they win more than half of those 9 seats. That's the reality.
Nine
And
seats.
yes, I think there is 9 municipality if I'm not making mistake.
Oh, okay. Municipalities. Okay.
Yes, the municipalities. You have to
Okay.
win more than 9. And the truth of the matter is the
You
mirror
said,
scandal is not,
huh? Nine? Nine?
I think it's
Total of
9.
nine?
Yeah, I think it's 9.
Total of nine. Okay.
Yeah.
Because that would be Punta Gorda is a town.
Yeah.
Dangriga is a town. So one, one,
Yep.
one. Okay. There are about six districts. So altogether, there are about nine
I think it's
towns
about 9.
and cities. Yeah, because
That's correct.
Belompan is
Tongue and
city
city.
and Belize city. Okay.
Yes,
So
that's
then
right.
now, so then a majority would be winning five out of nine then.
Correct. Correct.
Okay. Okay then. Now, anything else on the Dangriga readiness? What are the needs as you see them? I mean, for the future, what do the young people want? I mean, to develop Dangriga, do you have any idea of a vision? If you were asked,
Well,
what
the thing is it's not a matter of what the people want. I believe that my community needs to be led in the right direction.
okay.
That is first and foremost. For example, you have to teach them or show them that this thing is possible and it can work.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say let's do a simple thing here.
Mm-hmm.
How many people in Dangriga do you really think pay taxes? For me, that's a big issue. But in order for us to get development,
Mm-hmm.
taxes must be paid.
Mm-hmm.
That is something at the forefront.
Yes.
One of the other things that so taxes are not being paid. One of the other thing is that we have no other revenue that bumps into the town except subvention and well subvention taxes and license, which is
Property
liquor
tax.
and
The property tax is a main one.
yes, which is liquor and licensing sticker for vehicle,
Uh-huh.
right? Those are the
Okay.
only money that comes into the town in order for the town to progress. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if I may say, while
Mm-hmm.
don't hold me to the figure, but let me say it this way.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine the town produces or gains or get $2 million a year. But
Oh.
out of its $2 million,
Mm-hmm.
all we do is to pay salaries to that 2 million. So the whole 2 million the salaries. Basically, we don't have nothing. We can't
So
develop the street.
services, the
Yes, we can't
services.
develop the street. We can't put in drain. We can't work. The flood just gone the other day. Everything
Yes.
else we have to be dependent on some other entity in order for us to make these things possible. So,
Well,
as a
well,
person,
you can get creative because
my point,
they secure bonds, right? They
yes,
secure bonds and then they sell shares in it and then
correct.
they
So,
pay back so they can
correct,
get
over a
creative.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. And so I believe that we can get creative. We can
Mm-hmm.
get creative with the beaches, which I have proposed when I was running the campaign in 2025.
Okay.
I had said that the beaches is one of the way that we can go forward with, and we can also go forward with the farming. But we
Mm-hmm.
have to begin to see these things that these things can physically work. But again, a part of the locking is traveling. It's a locking. You go to Cancun. You go
Mm-hmm.
to Cancun. Cancun
Mm-hmm.
has beach and lagoon, and they
Mm-hmm.
make money from the beach and the lagoon that they have. I would want to stretch an arm and say they also do have ruins and so forth. If you go and you would search, you can go to some of these places, but they put their tourists at the front in terms of the revenue earner. And I believe that our community can do that. We can.
Well, Wilma here was on the show here yesterday, and he said that the Eastern Creek district has some of the nicest keys, but that they've been giving San Pedro the priority. The country has.
Correct. Yeah.
Um, so, what you think about expanding the tourism industry in the south, in particularly in the Eastern Creek district? You think that making it a tourist destination is a reality, is something to aspire
It
toward?
well, from my personal experience, it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of a hard seller, but
Mm-hmm.
we need to focus on it and try to get on it. I say it's a hard seller because
Mm-hmm.
one of the reason I believe that
Mm-hmm.
makes Kikaker and San Pedro great, it is
Mm-hmm.
because they're actually below the reef. If you think, if you ever pick a day that it's going to be rough, you could still get into the sea and bathe that in place without an accident, literally
I see.
without an
I
accident.
see.
Versus if you come down south, we are
Mm-hmm.
like we left open, so
Mm-hmm.
the water rough sometimes. I This is something that I have always said over a period of time, because I've
Uh-huh.
lived in St. Bite and in Hopkins.
Okay.
Whenever Hopkins Day and St. Bite Day come,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
look at, to me it is then the roughest I see come then time, because one crowd of people there and the sea just rough. And the
Mm-hmm.
Monday after those people has left, look at, you could jump in at the sea so calm, nice. You could just jump in, bathe and enjoy your time. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that the sea. But my point
Mm-hmm.
is, we
Mm-hmm.
cannot find that as a make that as a deterrent. We as a
Okay.
community has to see it differently in terms of investment, and our investment has to be long term, because the problem with our mindset is that our
Mm-hmm.
mindset is short term. Let's
Mm-hmm.
look at me, for example. My
Mm-hmm.
father now owns a key. Who do you think will
Okay.
take over that key when my father passes? And
Oh
God
no,
forbid
no.
that that doesn't happen. That's my
You're not
point.
say you're not saying that because you are the male you have to take it over, right?
That's correct. That's
You
correct.
have you have
But I
sisters,
am
right?
saying someone has to take it over. Someone has to look
Uh,
after the investment. But again, it comes to the
uh,
point where
uh,
someone had to thought about all of this
mm-hmm.
and see that it makes some kind of stride, and then you come behind, because family wealth is a good thing, it's a good thing. Let's not run away from the facts. Family wealth is it's a very good thing.
What's going on finally from my side, before you give your closing remarks? What's going on with the flooding down there on the road, especially? You're aware of it? I'm sure there's been
Yeah,
some
well,
flooding
the
on
recent
the
flood
high.
that we had in Dangriga.
Yes. Well, is it on the isn't it on the road, on the highway? Isn't it on the
Yes,
road?
some the thing
Some
is
parts
that
of ah.
some parts of it in 4 miles thereabout,
Mm-hmm.
in the new site area.
Mm-hmm.
um So some parts on the road in the 4 miles area, yes. Also on the Melinda Road and the back road, which is the road to the airstrip road,
Mm-hmm.
have flooding from time to time. The issue with that for me now, it is just
Mm-hmm.
a matter of responsibility. I believe that a person who leads our community cannot continue to see the flood happening over and over and over
Mm-hmm.
and does
Mm-hmm.
nothing about it. That flood could have been get
Okay.
solved a long time ago. But we have
Okay.
issues where when the new engineering took
Mm-hmm.
over, I think that that is when some of our issues begin to come,
Mm-hmm.
because we used to have culverts on those roads. to end up having water flowing to Gragra,
Mm.
but they don't exist anymore. And so you have to have a way from an engineering standpoint. There are
Mm-hmm.
these there are these top off hills that I consider them to be. Like once the
Mm-hmm.
water reach a certain level, what drain
Mm-hmm.
open. It reach another level, another drain open. It reach another level, another drain open. Um, I believe that
Mm-hmm.
Ted Aranda was the one who made sure that those drains were built. No, the drains basically doesn't exist anymore,
Mm.
and none of the present that came along saw it as a need, because we started to make the norm, or the we started to make the flood look like as if though it becomes a norm, and people can live
Okay.
with it.
So okay. So it's not being maintained. The drains that were dug by
Some of
during
the
the
drain
Tedderanda years. Okay.
Yeah, some of the drains, in my view, some of the
Uh-huh.
drains does not even exist anymore,
I see.
because they cannot cross the road, because the culverts were there in terms of
Ah.
crossing the highway to
Mm-hmm.
enter into Gragra. Those then they're blocked now.
In black. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So when they developed the road, they didn't continue with the drainage
correct,
underneath.
correct.
Okay then. Okay.
Correct. And
Yeah.
let me
Mm-hmm.
not side in by saying
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
some of the areas that was designated to be somewhat holding pond, or transfer
Mm-hmm.
from or transfer into drains in itself, those are some
Mm-hmm.
of the lands that we took and we sold. We surveyed them, and we bought them, not understanding that this thing becomes critical tomorrow.
Okay. Okay. As you prepare your closing remarks, um, you're not your mind is not made up as to whether you will continue in your political career, or you're putting a pause. What is
Well, at this
if they ask you to run today, would you run?
No, if they ask me to run today, no, I won't run. I'm going to put a pause on it. And I'm going to put a
Yeah.
pause for my, I always hear people say that for reasons of family. I always hear people say that. Well, I am putting a pause on it because I believe that I have to get my ducks myself. I have to get my ducks in a row. One of the things that have happened to me
Mm,
business wise when I get
mm,
myself involved into politics is that there are people from both sides of the aisle. There are people who
mm,
are independent who hire me to go and do their jobs. And
mm,
then when the time comes after the
mm,
politics has done and I lost, or whether I lose or I win,
mm,
it doesn't matter. I believe the behavior is going to be the same. My business take a dip, and so I don't want that my business take a dip for the next 10 years, which I believe that this is the basically the crucial time in order for me to now develop now, where we are running on a platform. Um the business opportunity is now going to be here, because most of the rules and regulation of the electrical, especially the electrical part of the business, that not anybody could do the work now. So PUC has now put a handle on that. Why? So there is no point in me now getting into politics when, man, I could just get out there and make my dollar.
okay, so you're focusing on the business right now.
That's correct.
Is that your closing remark?
Yeah, basically that's it.
That's a
I,
wrap.
I listen. I'm
Uh-huh.
here to work with my family. I want to
Uh-huh.
say that my family has been the best for me over the past 3 years. I
Okay.
have no regrets of what they have done for me. Literally, I have never seen
Yes.
anybody come true for me more than the
Yes.
family that I have.
Yes.
Charity begins at home, brother, and I am gladly
Uh-huh.
appreciate the fact that my family have taken that time to teach me what they needed to teach me while I was younger, and I can now
Yes.
implement that.
My regards as you go to your family, including your parents, my
Yeah,
classmates. We had this annual reunion high school for the 1980 graduating class, which that was a year before Heads of Agreement and Independence.
yeah,
So, um, yeah, have a good one, Rich. It was nice talking with
no
you.
problem.
Okay,
Have
bye
a good
bye.
one, brother.